Hello once more.
And welcome to another Brothers in Metal.
God, it's been too long, hasn't it?
Oh, it's been in months, we haven't done anything. But we're back now anyway, and on the eve of seeing AC/DC tomorrow.
Yep, AC/DC at Donington.
At Donington Park, it seemed only appropriate to have a look at, rather than a record this time, or a band, or a back catalogue, we a bit more general this time. We'll look at what makes the perfect gig, because we're hoping tomorrow is going to be something approaching that.
Of course, absolutely. I was going to say we're starting off perhaps by suggesting what at the moment your perfect gig is. Tomorrow excluded.
Well, hopefully, but tomorrow's going to take over, because let's be honest, AC/DC always perform well live. And when we saw them at the O2 last year,
yes, it was. Yes,
cool. They were pretty awesome then. I don't know. We'll get onto the details. What makes a perfect gig? Anyway, for me at the moment, I'll probably say either Airborne at the Oxford Zodiac when we saw them there.
Oh, that's now the O2 Canopy.
Oh yeah, whatever it'll always be the Zodiac to me. But yeah, tiny little gig. They really rocked it up, and this is before they were really well known. I mean, we'd only bought the album like 2 days before.
Yeah, that was like a perfect sort of week, because that went heard of band, bought album, seen show.
Yeah, all within the course of a week, and they were just amazing. And since then, they've kind of taken off. Certainly the second album. So that, or Iron Maiden at Twickenham, just because what an occasion.
Yeah, I mean that was kind of awesome in its entirety. I bet you can guess what my favourite gig was.
Blind Guardian
at
the KOKO.
It was Blind Guardian at the KOKO.
Well, you'd waited forever to see them because they never bloody tour in the UK.
No, they toured. I think they've been played once in the UK in 20 years before that. I actually had an interview that particular day. I got changed for the gig in a train station, and it was just kind of mind blowing.
I remember, yeah, because we gave you a lift out there, didn't we? And then ferried you from the interview to the train station, and off we went.
I didn't get the job, by the way. That was kind of annoying, but at the end of the day, I didn't really care.
To be fair, when you came out, you didn't look like you focused on the interview at all.
It was like the sort of Wonder Woman thing. Gone from like suits to metal. Wonder Metal.
You're nothing like Wonder Woman.
Anyway, you have kind of like some categories here.
So yeah, I mean, I think the easiest way to look at what makes the perfect gig is probably just to go through a couple of the elements that you have to factor in when you're assessing this. So should we start?
Yeah, Mr. Excel, go for it.
Okay, so my Excel spreadsheet of all the categories. So first of all, I think the most important thing before you even get to a gig is the anticipation, the expectation of going into a gig. So the build-up. Because, as I said, I mentioned Iron Maiden earlier as an example. I mean, we knew about that gig for ages. It was the one time they were playing in the UK on that tour. They decided instead of doing arena dates, they're going to do one stadium date. It was almost like a mini festival. It had a good lineup. It was in a stadium. Fantastic. So, expectation. So, I think how long you have to wait for a gig is sometimes not the best part, but it has a key impact.
Yeah, and I think not only in terms of how long you have to wait, in terms of chronologically it's going to be this day, but say for example, if it's a band you're really after and you've been waiting for them for a long time.
Yeah, like Guardian for you.
Guardian for me.
Waiting, yeah, and AC/DC for me. I mean, we saw them at the O2, but before that I've been waiting years. I've been dying to see them at Donington.
Yeah.
You know.
And I think that sort of transcends kind of, it's quite a personal thing in a way. I mean, obviously there are bands who are huge and a lot of people kind of waiting for.
Yeah.
But there are like small bands as well that will be, deeply personal to you. You just wait for ages for them to play.
Well, before we saw Hammerfall, you've been waiting for a while to see them.
Absolutely, yeah.
Which is wicked, and I mean, I can't wait for Dream Eagle to come back.
Absolutely. I mean, it's just that kind of, oh yeah, it's going to happen. And they say the longer it is, the kind of more it builds up.
But then, don't you think as well that can always be a negative thing? Because, for example, we're all expecting AC/DC to just kick our asses tomorrow because we've been waiting for this for ages, for years. If, they almost are doomed to failure.
Yeah, I mean, basically, if they do everything perfectly right and play the most amazing show ever, then it's not going to go noticed, because that's what we expect. But if they play a mediocre show, it's going to be like devastating in the eyes of a lot of people.
But the other thing is, and we'll kind of come on to this a bit later, but with AC/DC, it's like, well, you kind of know what to expect. If you don't get cannons and bells, then you'll feel cheated. But if you do, it's just what you expect. I don't know how Akadaka are going to do something original.
That's true. I mean, although I mean, expectation and originality are a bit different. In fact, they are different. I mean, in this case, it's something you'll know. There's probably not be no major surprises, but you'll kind of expect. The expectations are high because you know there's no surprises. You know what you're going to get.
So, do you want to see what you expect to see done well?
Yeah,
that's the key. You don't want to see mediocre cannons. You don't want to see a half-assed bell. Like when we saw them at the O2, that was a titchy little bell.
I mean, I'll give you a point, an example. Iron Maiden. We saw the Matter of Life or Death show, and then we knew they were playing down, and we knew what stage set they have. But the expectation of the large tank for Iron Maiden was kind of realised and exceeded because it was that one at that show.
I was going to say, I didn't expect to see that at a festival. It didn't seem logical. And it also makes Download's decision that they have to have less bands tomorrow because AC/DC need a bigger stage set is a mockery, because we've seen Kiss and Iron Maiden do amazing things on a regular festival day.
Yeah, in case you don't know about that, AC/DC have their own stage, basically.
It's amazing. There are two stages parallel to each other.
A sort of whack-on effect, if you will. But the whole concept of a band having to have their own stage, it's a bit weird.
I can't decide if it's a stroke of genius or unbelievably egotistical.
There we go. Anyway, what's your conclusion there?
Well, I was just gonna say as well, just bringing in something you said on the similar topic. Also, if you've seen a band before, I think sometimes, because I'm slightly less excited about this show tomorrow, for example, because we saw AC/DC at the O2, but it's not that 10-year wait that I'd had before that show.
Yeah, but I mean, you can counter that a little bit, because you can say if you saw a band and they're amazing, then next time you think, oh yeah, it was that band.
Yeah,
they're going to be awesome this time. I mean, it depends on the band, I think.
Yeah, so I think we can, in terms of concluding anything from expectations, I think having a good waiting period is probably does heighten your expectation, but it's going to be about the band, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Ultimately, it depends who you're waiting for.
Exactly. I mean, and I think that depends on who you are and and what the band means to you a lot as well.
But then we'll come back to that in a little bit.
Of course.
So something else I thought we'd maybe look at is venue. I think venue can be quite important, and depending again on the band you're talking about.
Of course. I mean, I've had great shows in small venues. I've had great shows in big venues, and vice versa.
What do you prefer? If you had to pick one, would you go for an Iron Maiden at Twickenham or a Metallica at Wembley? It's a massive occasion where people come together like a festival, or something like the Airborne show we mentioned, where it's tiny, it's intimate, and it's an experience that you and your brothers have had.
I think after Firewind at the Little Civic, I'd always go for small venues, win out, because that's something that personal connection you just don't get in a big show. And I mean, don't get me wrong, big shows are amazing, and it is fantastic to see a big show. But there's always a sense of that there's a certain amount of band disconnect, and you just don't get that with a small show.
Again, I know we keep saying this, but doesn't that depend on the band? Because we've seen, like, for example, Skindred at Hammerfest. It was a small venue, but everybody in there felt that they were part of that gig.
Yeah, I mean, maybe there's something to be said for it's about how good that band connects and how big that band is relative to the venue. If you had someone, for example, like Feeder headlining Download, didn't see that.
I did.
Yes.
Not many other people did.
Then that's an example of a band who are too big, too small for the venue.
Out of context. Yeah.
How about, for example, say Tool, though, headlining Download? That's a band who are probably big enough to headline, but there was a disconnect there.
But then that's Tool. That's Tool. That's nothing to do with the size of the venue. I mean, as you say, they're an arena band.
How about when Tool played Nottingham Arena, though?
But then, I don't know, if you turn up exclusively to a Tool show, an indoor arena where they can get the effects working and everything you expect to get abuse hurled at you, but you also got banging tunes and perfect sound. So it worked. It worked inside live. At a festival, I wouldn't say they were particularly a festival band. So again, venue does have an impact.
How about you? Size, big, small?